the heart of a fan.
The way to opening day begins in Goodyear, Arizona. And believe it or not, right around the corner is opening day on March the 30th. This is the last day of February, and the Cleveland Guardians welcome in the Kansas City Royals this afternoon in Cactus League play. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Triston McKenzie will get the start this afternoon for the Guardians. Rick, he took a huge step forward last year. What was different about Triston McKenzie?
I think mentally he realized he belonged in the big leagues. He took a step where he went out there. He shows he can pitch every 5 days and go out and do a heck of a job. He's the #2 starter on this ball club. So he's done a whale of a job. He's got a good fastball. He doesn't give up many hits. He pitched 190 innings. He had a strikeout per inning. This guy proved that he can stick around the big leagues and be a part of that rotation for a long time.
Andre Knott joins us now. I know you had a chance to visit with McKenzie already early in camp. How does he take what he did last year and now move forward?
He belongs now. How many times have we heard Arch talk about a guy going from 1 year of kind of questioning who you are, what you are? No longer does that. I think you look at the ERA under 3 and you think of the innings pitched last year. That was huge. Did not tinker with the new pitch in the offseason. Wants to be great with the 3 that he uses.
All right, normally in spring training, you think of new faces, young guys that maybe we haven't seen, guys that are on the horizon, but today the starting lineup is chock full of veterans. Ahmed Rosario, Jose Ramirez, Nails, Josh Naylor, Oscar, the new guy Josh Bell. They're all in the lineup, and the first pitch is coming up next.
When it comes to insurance, it's important to have a plan that fits you.
We ready?
Triston McKenzie about to get us underway.
Yeah, Triston going to make his first start of the spring and coming out, you know, we talked about it in the open. He had a nice year last year for him, and I mean, he really leaps and bounds. And I think if he can control the long ball this year a little bit better than what he did last year as it went on, he's going to be just fine.
Matt Quatraro in his first year as Royals manager has this lineup penciled in today. Bobby Witt Jr. will lead it off. Kyle Isbell in the 2-hole. Salvador Perez batting third. Vinny Pasquantino will DH. Matt Duffy in the 5-hole. Nick Pratto will bat 6th. Johan Camargo in the 7-hole. Edward Olivares will bat 8th. And Nate Eaton batting 9th.
And the defense for the Guardians looks like this. In the outfield from left to right will be Palacios, Valera, and Gonzalez. And on the infield from third to first will be Ramirez, Rosario, Rocchio, Bell. And behind the plate will be Gallagher.
There is Brian Rocchio getting ready to take the throw down at second base. That's something we hadn't really thought about, but we visited with Mike Sarbaugh, Guardians infield coach, today, and he said the size of the bases, they're increased. They're a little bigger this year. It's made it a little different. The middle infielders are having to adjust as far as what they do around the bag, in particular taking that throw from the catcher at second base.
Being that they're 3 inches wide or, you know, bigger, they can't straddle it like they once did. They can, they're just going to have to get used to it. And it's a little flatter bag than what they used last year.
Triston McKenzie's first pitch to Bobby Witt Jr. is in for a strike. Bobby Witt Jr., 20 homers, 30 stolen bases a year ago. But many in Kansas City feel that he is just scratching the surface, and they have to hope so.
With the way it went, I mean, he didn't get as much love in Rookie of the Year, but this guy's a super player because he can do it all. He can steal bases. He can hit home runs. He was playing third. Now he can play short. This is going to be a good young player for a long time should he stay healthy.
One ball, 2 strikes, and it's fouled right back off the mask of Cam Gallagher.
Witt is a good fastball hitter, and with Triston McKenzie, you don't see the velocity on that pitch like you see from a lot of other pitches around baseball, but it is very deceiving because he's 6'5", and he gets it out there and it gets on you before you know it.
Took a little something off and a weak ground ball. Brian Rocchio's throw a bit high, but Josh Bell reels it in, one away.
Yeah. Good thing he was playing first, a big man. Able to get that toe on the bag. The throw a little wild, but he had it. Plenty of time.
Kyle Isbell. Isbell in center field. He's known as a defensive specialist. The Royals made a trade last year. They got Drew Waters from Atlanta. They want him to really be the guy because he's got a little more to offer offensively. But he strained an oblique muscle about 10 days ago, so he's sidelined at least. And you know how at this point in camp,
if I remember, Waters was the switch hitter that he
Correct.
hit a couple of home runs off of us last year.
Yes, he kind of found himself a little bit playing against the Guardians last
Yeah,
year.
he sure did.
Matt, I think the most odd trade of the offseason was Michael Taylor getting traded from the Royals to the Twins.
yeah, it's almost like Kansas City went into the offseason saying we need bullpen help, and no matter how we get it, we're going to get it, and it cost them some pretty good players.
Well, it's a tough outfield to roam, we know, and Taylor did it very well out there in Kansas City with some gold gloves, so that's tough to replace. Whoever's going to fill in, they're going to have a lot of work to do.
Speaking of gold gloves, Salvador Perez owns 5 of them. And he's also a guy that feasts on fastballs. He turns that one around left center field. Cut off by Palacios. Into third is Isbell.
Get him at second.
Nobody at second base. Does Perez?
He got him.
Rocchio get there in time? Yes. He is out at second base trying to turn that into a double. The throw was offline, but Brian Rocchio had the presence of mind to turn around and slap the tag on Perez for out number 2.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the only guy you could have got at second base was Perez. But he, with the throw, he cut it off nicely. The throw a little wild, but on the infield, he comes in, Rocchio, and did a nice job of getting the ball and attacking it and going to get Perez before he gets that foot on the bag. A nice play.
Vinny Pasquantino with 2 down takes the fastball outside. Evidently too early in spring to slide for Salvador Perez.
I got a feeling he may have slid like that in June, too.
High fly ball, right field. Oscar Gonzalez makes the catch. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. The Guardians are coming to bat.
Make the start for Kansas City today. Signed as a free agent out of Baltimore, coming from Baltimore. Led the Orioles in career high 32 starts. And he was just a game above the 500 mark with a 4.42 ERA.
It's his 13th major league season and his 8th different team. Richie Palacios will lead it off for Cleveland. And Jordan Lyles misses outside, ball 1.
He's a guy that when he's on his game, he can get some ground balls. And 18 ground ball double plays last year, the last 2 years, as a matter of fact.
Richie Palacios will be one of several Cleveland Guardians departing camp here in the next few days.
He leaves tomorrow, doesn't he?
Taking part in the World Baseball Classic for the Netherlands.
He's flying around the world, I think, to where he's playing.
Correct.
3 balls and a strike.
Where's he
Sorry
going
about
to?
that. He's got to go to Tokyo to play, so you are correct. He is leaving tomorrow because they're playing their part of the World Baseball Classic on the other side of the world.
Wow, I'll say.
Full count. There are games that are going to be played in 4 locations: Taiwan, Japan, Phoenix, and Miami. Semifinals and the finals will be in Miami. Those teams that advance. The 3-2 pitch. And Palacios chops it foul. Richie, one of 17 Guardians who made his major league debut last year. He was one of the guys that jumped on that train early.
Yeah.
And in the month of April, got his first major league hit in Anaheim.
We had a lot of rookies get their first major league hit and do very well.
Yeah. Curveball missed up high. Leadoff walk. Good at bat for Richie Palacios.
Shortstop, number 1, Ahmed Rosario.
The rest of the Guardians starting lineup looks like this: Ahmed Rosario, then Jose Ramirez and Josh Bell, a pair of switch hitters. Josh Naylor will bat 5th. Oscar Gonzalez in the 6th hole. George Valera, center fielder, bat 7th, and Brian Arocchio and Cam Gallagher batting 9th. Rosario takes a pitch down low. And that slider off the plate. 2-0 the count. And Ahmed Rosario pops one sky high. Shallow left. Out goes Bobby Witt. And the shortstop takes care of it, 1 away.
Let's set that Royals defense for you. In the outfield, Olivares will be in left. Isbell is in center. Eaton over right. It's Camargo at third base. Witt is the shortstop. Duffy is at second. Prado at first. And Perez doing the catching.
Jose Ramirez taking a fastball for strike 1.
Matt, we know that Jose is very aware of everything around us. And today he looked at me right before the game and said, "When are you leaving?" He said, "Why are you guys doing so many games now?" He goes, "You brought the cold from Cleveland. Go home and bring us back better weather when you come back."
Right field. Back goes Eaton.
Just the hair off the end.
2 down.
As Josh Bell comes to the plate, Arch helped us with something. I was talking to Ahmed Rosario. He just said that his timing is just not there at all. He said he feels better today than it did the first game. But as a hitter, how does that work, trying to find your timing?
Well, that's why you're here. Spring training. I mean, you don't face live pitching for, 5 months, maybe 5.5 months, and you come out here and you just want to see it come out of their hand. And they've got quite a while. They've got 30 games to play, and you don't worry about it. It'll come. It's like riding a bike. It comes right back to you very quickly. Once they see a few different style pitchers.
Ooh, look out.
Sandy, get down, baby. He was one that got hit last year and fractured, I think, the shin bone. You got at the corners, boy. You have got to be aware now.
There's nowhere to run right there on that.
No, I know it. He knew that one was coming his way, so we just got down. That away.
Missed outside.
That's funny. That's where you can see. You wouldn't think that a starting pitcher would have time to hold the ball as well as Lyles did right there, but he got rid of it when there was about 5 seconds to go. But you got to get ready a little bit earlier out of that 20 seconds. Uh-oh.
Deep right field. Back is Eaton. He won't get this one. Up onto the roof and out of here for Josh Bell.
How's that for timing?
A 2-out 2-run homer puts the Guardians on top 2-0 here in the first.
Well, and it was a slider. Ends up speeding up the bat of Josh Bell, and he did a nice job of keeping the hands back and timed it beautifully. And that'll be his first home run of the swing of the spring. And there it was, middle of the plate, spinner. Those go a long way. I bet he feels good getting that first one out of the way.
Now Josh Naylor pops one foul.
Coming back. Oh, not quite enough.
Camargo giving it a look but could not get there.
1-1 pitch a little bit high. Three balls and a strike, and Josh Naylor finds the hole on the right side.
There's that hole. A pitch stayed up. It was mid-thigh. Gave him some swinging room, and Naylor finds the hole between first and second. So.
And he turned and told the boys, no shift. They're all turned and they all said, see what happens with no shift?
Oscar Gonzalez chases one.
Got 37 outs, ladies and gentlemen. 37 outs. Buy as many beers as you can. We're done with soda. Is officially there.
And he fouls this one off the other way. Oscar Gonzalez, in his rookie year, played 91 games, batted .296 with 11 homers, 43 knocked in. And then became a star in the postseason. Ball in the dirt. Oscar Gonzalez walked off the Tampa Bay Rays. Matt Quatraro, who was the bench coach for Kevin Cash and the Tampa Bay Rays, he had a ringside seat to the heroics of Oscar Gonzalez, who sent one into the bleachers in that extra inning marathon game that seemed like it would never end, scoreless.
Yeah, that was
until Oscar's home run.
Yeah, nothing. Won it in the bottom of what, the 15th?
And then wasn't Rick 1 day or 2 days later, Seattle broke that record.
That was
That's
like
right.
18 or something like that, where there were nothing going into it. Right.
Tied him up. Good pitch by Jordan Lyles. Strikes him out to end the inning. But Josh Bell, they signed him because he's got the ability to do that. A 2-run homer. The Guardians are up early. Tristan McKenzie goes to work here in the second inning. Matt Duffy will lead it off for Kansas City. McKenzie's pitch is hit in the air, right field. Back goes Oscar Gonzalez, still going back on the track, pulls it down for out number one. Tristan McKenzie,
First baseman.
last year logging almost 200 innings. And what you're seeing is that load increase year to year, absent the.
To me, that was the biggest surprise. No one thought he could get up around that 200 inning mark, and you thought maybe they'd cap him off. But I'll tell you what, he ended up doing it. He lasted the whole season, and that was a big thing. You had Bieber that gave you 200 innings. Then you got Tristan here, 191. Quantrill retold you he had 186 or 187 innings. So those are 3 horses. Now you got to get your 4 or 5 guys to come out there and give you some good work like that as well. And boy, that takes a lot of pressure off your bullpen when your starters can go out there and do that throughout the course of a Major League Baseball season.
Makes that bullpen all the more effective.
Oh, does it ever.
Nick Pratto, 24 years old, last year 158 at bats, but only contributed a 184 batting average. Two balls and 2 strikes. Curveball got him looking.
Yeah, locked him up with a nice breaking ball. And, I thought McKenzie usually throws that breaking ball down and in, but he started that one a backdoor breaking ball on that curveball. Watch this. Well done. hitter gave up on it. It drops right down into the strike zone. So that's a nice pitch. Maybe he's coming out and throwing to the left-handers now.
Johan Camargo swings at the first pitch and pops it out of play. Camargo coming over after last year in Philadelphia. Royals have been a ball club that's mired in the rebuilding process. 7 straight seasons without the playoffs. And it's one thing to, not be in the playoffs, but they've been a long ways from the playoffs.
And the thing of it is, it comes to starting pitching is what they need. They had a good draft a few years ago. They thought some guys were going to come up, and the key is throwing strikes.
Popped up foul. Jose Ramirez might have a play here near the railing. He's got it.
Yeah, he got over there in time. That one.
Kansas City goes 1, 2, 3. Tristan McKenzie with 2 scoreless innings here in Goodyear.
The Kansas City.
George Valera will lead off for the Guardians here in the bottom of the second. They lead it 2-0. Tristan McKenzie works so quickly. I'm not sure his day is over
his
yet.
day's not over yet. So the questions and answers may be a little bit different, he told me, because he still has to go out in the bullpen and pitch. But how nice is it to get that first start out of the way, Tristan?
It's nice. I'm still kind of jittery right now, honestly. But it was good to kind of get there and get some excitement going and have the boys behind me, really. It was good to see a team against me that wasn't my own teammates.
I was going to ask you, is it strange going against a team, though, that you know so well?
No, not at all. I think it just prepares me more for the season. I think being able to see these guys, I get to hit the salvi. It's stuff that I'm going to have to get used to and adjust to in season.
You used the curveball against the lefty and locked him up there, I think, with Prado. Is that something that you want to be able to use that way going into the season, or is that just you working on what you're working on right now?
I think I was just trying to attack the zone more, and I was using my curveball well to get in the zone. My fastball was a little up, and Cam kind of noticed that and kept sticking with it.
Now that you've been through everything you've been through, you got to 191 innings last year. I know you don't want to talk about numbers overall, but what are some of the goals that you have in this season that you want to do differently?
Differently? Start a little hotter, and outside of that, nothing. I think I'm pedal to the metal right now. I'm ready.
Your thoughts on the pitch clock on your first time out?
It didn't affect me as much as I thought it was going to. I felt like I had pretty good rhythm.
George Valera's hurt.
Yeah.
Not sure what happened.
Right
there.
arm. The bat came out of his hand, and you could see he was wincing. He was not feeling good.
He had that hand surgery in the offseason, did he not? Yeah, the same one that Jose had a couple of years ago. This is
the Hammett bone.
The Hammett bone.
Take
yes,
another
he had
look
the
here.
Hammett bone. I don't.
Well, it bothered him, whatever it is, and there you'll see. He felt it. He's going to come right out, and rightfully so.
So George Valera will exit mid at bat. It's a 2-ball, 2-strike count. And let's see who's going to come in for him.
Number 22, Lampe.
Yeah, Joe
Well,
Lampe.
DeMarlo's got to make a change in the second inning here because of a little injury. So something you don't prepare for.
Tristan, obviously, odd time right here in the game. We appreciate you taking the time. I know you still got to go out to the bullpen and throw. But how exciting are you for this season to get started with what you guys accomplished last season?
Josh Bell's home run in the first inning got me pretty excited. I think being able to be out here and have the guys behind me, one, is exciting, but being able to see what they can do and having some clean innings is definitely get me really excited for season.
Well, you're the second pitcher to get to 2 innings out of the starters, and you get to go to the bullpen and keep throwing, so I think you're ahead of the pack.
I'm doing okay.
Keep the pedal to the metal. We appreciate it, man. Back up to you guys.
Thanks, Andre. Thanks, Tristan. Joe Lampe will come on for Brian Roker for George Valera. And Valera obviously will head for evaluation. Big curveball that missed up high. That's, you just have to hope that it's nothing that's going to set George Valera back, because he's been working hard to try and turn heads, be an option. Bloop center field. And Bobby Witt Jr. with a nice play over the shoulder for out number 1.
Batting 8th, second baseman, number 66, Brian Rocchio.
Well, like George Valera, Brian Rocchio, he wants to join that core of Cleveland Guardians who made their major league debut a season ago. But the problem for all of the young players now, because of so many young players and how well they did a year ago, there are fewer opportunities, at least in camp right now. As we know, during the season, things can change and injuries happen and opportunities will pop up as we go along. But for right now, it's a tough club to crack.
A lot different spring this year for younger players than it was last year.
It was like open mic night last year.
Yeah, you're right. You step to the plate, you got a chance of getting out there, getting to this show what you can do. I mean, Tito Still and his staff love to watch young kids play, because that's what it's all about, to see what you have in your organization that could help you throughout the course of a year.
Yeah, like a lot of clubs that are in that
Mid-level,
mid-market range, your young players are the lifeblood of the organization. Right. And you've got to keep that pipeline rolling. And that's the one thing that they've done exceptionally well, is it's not just one crop, one group that has come through the system, Rick. And Cam Gallagher, who steps to the plate, I told you the other day, he said, I thought when Kluber and that whole core of pitchers left, we'd catch a break. And then Bieber and all these other guys came right behind them.
Yeah, I mean, that's on the pitching side of it, but it's nice to see it started last year where they're starting to see it on the position side of it, where primarily it was more pitchers than everyday players.
Kansas City knows that all too well, and it's one of the reasons why they were kind of forced to go out and add to their rotation through free agency, to get a guy like.
And that's hard to do.
It is.
It's expensive too.
Yeah. Ground ball to short, backhanded by Witt. He's got the catcher running, his former teammate, and he throws him out. The Guardians go 1-2-3. 2 complete from Goodyear, 2-0 Guardians.
When it comes to
Tristan McKenzie started today for Cleveland. 2 scoreless innings, and for his first time out, Rick, that's a pretty good curveball.
Well, pretty good. I mean, that follows his high fastball. He said he couldn't command the fastball. Gallagher behind the plate wanted to stay with that breaking ball because he was able to hit the strike zone. So he had the strikeout, and his 22 pitches, 13 of those strikes. He'll tighten that up if he gets his fastball, but he's a great 2-pitch pitcher. He can go fastball, curveball, but he also has the slider. So, he can deal.
Touki Toussaint is the new Cleveland pitcher. An interesting guy who came to camp as a minor league invite. Came up with the Atlanta Braves organization. Spent last year with the Angels. Most of that year was in the minor leagues, but when Toussaint broke into the big leagues with Atlanta, I think a lot of people are like, oh, geez, here's another great pitcher that Atlanta has found. But success, kind of elusive for him.
That's because he has a tough time staying in the strike zone. He gets a little wild in the walks.
Stuff is there.
Stuff is there. He's got a great arm.
The command and the consistency with that.
Yeah, the key for him, whether it be as a starter or coming out of the bullpen, is right there, throwing strikes. Just like a lot of pitchers that have good stuff. You hurt yourself when you can't pitch in front, and maybe, just maybe, Carl Willis and these guys are when he talks to this guy.
Yeah,
they can reel him in and get him to pitch from in front, and that's one thing that the Guardian staff does religiously.
They love that he's an athlete. They love that Josh Tomlin, the former Cleveland Indian, was a big fan of his over.
Yeah, he recommended him.
He recommended him, and I think Carl kind of feels, and you kind of hit on this, Carl feels because he's such a good athlete that if they can just get him to repeat the delivery, then everything will come together.
You know, and that is the key. And you see, the game gets a little easier when you pitch from in front of the count.
Right.
Hitters get a lot tougher when they have the count in their favor. They don't have to swing at that nasty pitch that you may throw. You know, with 2 strikes, now they may have, you can extend them, and they'll chase some of the pitches out of the strike zone. But the key is those first 3 pitches in an at-bat.
Found the hole on the right side. Broken bat by Eaton. On his way to third goes Olivares, and the throw is just a bit offline. Oscar had to come racing in to get to it. If it would have been hit a little bit harder, he'd had a better chance to throw him out of third base. But when the bat broke, that ball just was perfectly guided through the hole.
That was a great pitch, just off the plate, and you can see it was right off the end of the bat. Bell just falls down to the ground. It gets by him. It's in right field. Nothing you could do. He should be able to go first to third on that like he does. So now they have a start to the inning.
Runners at the corners, nobody out, and Bobby Witt Jr. to the plate. Grounded out his first time up. 2-0. Guardians lead it. And the first pitch curveball misses. 1-0. When you look at the Guardians' current kind of bullpen makeup, they're on a lot of spots that are up for grabs. But if there is an opening, Toussaint, as Carl Willis, Guardians pitching coach, said earlier today, he checks a lot of boxes because he's a veteran. He's pitched out of the rotation. He's also pitched in relief. It's really going to come down to what we're already seeing right here and what you've already said, and that is, can he consistently command a baseball? Because when you pitch out of the bullpen, they have to be able to count on you.
Yeah, his third hitter, and 2 of them, it's been 3-0. And you know, I see the first when he tried to get it over with a breaking ball. That's fine. He missed with it, but now you got to come back with a strike. But he tried to throw a nasty 2-seamer that wasn't even close, and you didn't have to swing at it. You have to come back and throw a strike if you miss with that first breaking ball.
Pounds the strike zone. Fastball in there. It's 3-1.
Yeah, he'll be ready for another fastball here. You get the breaking ball, you just spit on it.
Hit hard to third, and it gets by Ramirez. The Royals are on the board as Olivares scores, and all the way to third goes Nate Eaton.
And you can see good hitters. He eliminated doubt. He was looking for 1 pitch and 1 pitch only. He got it, and he does damage with it. That's what you're supposed to do. He drives in the run, and they're able to continue to go first and third. So it's a 2-1 ball game. There's still nobody out. And a good opportunity to add on.
Kyle Isbell walked his first time up. Well, I'm sure, you know, if you're Matt Quatraro, you're looking at the ball club that you have and the ballpark that you play primarily in.
Yeah.
He's probably figuring a little bit like Terry Francona a year ago. They have to be aggressive on the base paths with the guys who can run.
Agreed. Yeah, this is a team that they got to play a lot like the Guardians do. You've got to run the bases well. You got to try to not strike out, because that Kansas City ballpark, as we know, is tough to hit home runs consistently. They've got to make things happen. They've always been an aggressive club as far as swinging goes. They haven't walked a whole lot. But if you put the ball in play and don't strike out, this is a team that's how they should play for their ballpark, because that's what you have to do. You may have 1 or 2 guys that can hit you some home runs, but it's going to be a tough.
Yeah, he kind of told me that before the game. He's excited, but he also said that the one thing that he's talked to Brian Sweeney a lot about, who's the pitching coach now, is they've got to figure out how to duplicate what the Guardians have done. He said it's not just about the draft. He goes, we got to get everybody in our system.
That's
to
correct.
kind of go off the same system that they have with the Guardians, and that's throwing strikes early in counts. Remember, Matt, you told the story when we opened the season last year. That's what their manager from last season had all over the facility.
Right,
remember?
when you walk out. But was it strike one?
Strike one, and he had the percentages of what happens.
Runner goes, no throw, it's ball 4. So second walk of the inning, and they're loaded up with nobody out. Here comes Carl Willis, the Guardians pitching coach.
For George Valera, he left with right wrist discomfort, gentlemen.
Right. Well, the Festival of Baseball is back. You can catch all the excitement at the 2023 World Baseball Classic. That'll begin March 8th, so right around the corner. You can get your tickets today at theworldbaseballclassic.com.
I believe the team from Mexico will play the Guardians out here right before they start up. So
Isn't that the 7th or something like that?
I believe so. And so, yeah, the day or two
Let me
before.
see. I'll
You'll
tell
have it
you
up
in a
there.
second. Yeah, they are playing here.
Next Wednesday.
Yep, and that starts up on Thursday.
Curveball and a good one. Strike one to Salvador Perez. You talked about the power in their lineup. This is where it has to come from. Salvador Perez.
Yeah.
I told you, he feasts on fastballs, and he turned one around for a single in the first inning.
Yeah, but he can hit a breaking ball, too.
He had a .520 slugging percentage last year against fastballs. And this is a guy that, you know, he missed a chunk of the year last year with torn ligaments in that left thumb. He was able to play in 77. I should say he was able to catch, though, 77 games.
I give him credit. Remember, he came back way earlier than we thought.
Right.
Remember? They said he wasn't going to come back till September.
Than what we were told.
Yeah.
Well, we saw him working out early. When we went back in another time, we said, this guy's already throwing.
Right.
Remember the first
Yeah.
time
Oh,
we went
yeah.
in there and he was throwing, we said, he's going to be back because it was still 2 months to go.
Says a lot about him, considering what their record was and where their season was at last year.
Yeah, he's their heart and soul,
Yeah.
without a doubt. He's a tremendous baseball player. He loves to play the game, and he's the leader of this ball club, without a doubt.
So that ball low bridge, is that Witt over there? You guys didn't see what happened down the line, did you?
Yeah,
Nate
yeah.
Eaton.
That's Nate Eaton.
Nate Eaton. Okay, I'm sorry.
He got out of the way.
Swing and a foul tip held on by Gallagher. Struck him out to, that's the first out of the inning.
Boy, he needed that badly. But what did happen? Got to strike one. Got ahead with the breaking ball, put him away with the breaking ball, but he pitched ahead in the count.
He's run out of pitches, though, because of the walks and just the high pitch volume for Toussaint here in inning number 3. So we'll step aside for a pitching change here in Goodyear. 2-1 Cleveland, but the Royals have them loaded with 1 out. Kansas City has them loaded with 1 out here in the 3rd. They're down a run. Bobby Witt Jr. with 20 homers and 30 stolen bases a year ago joined a very short list.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, how about that?
Rookies who've done that.
Mike Trout, of course, everybody knows about. Devon White was a terrific player. They were all very, very good. Mitchell Page and so on.
Vinny Pasquantino fly to right first time up. Bobby Witt was the 2nd pick in the draft. Vinny Pasquantino was an 11th round pick in that same draft, and yet last year he hit .295 with 10 homers.
Yeah, this
in just 258 at bats, and he drives one into right field, and that's going to give Kansas City the lead.
He's got some pop in that bat. Stayed back nicely and drives in a pair. Going to see a pitch elevated in the strike zone for the left-hander. He was able to go belt high and get on it, drive it into right field. So Kansas City takes the lead now, 3-2.
Jordan Jones is the new pitcher for Cleveland. 16th round pick back in 2019 out of the University of Washington. Chopper on the right side. There's one. Back to first, Ahmed Rosario. Nicely done. Turns the double play. But Kansas City puts 3 on the board in the 3rd, and they lead it by a run.
2023 season ticket memberships are now available, and memberships begin with just 20 games. All plans feature discounted tickets, a per-game concessions credit, a flexible ticket exchange program, and access to potential postseason games. You can call 216-420-HITS or visit CLEGuardians.com.
The Kansas City Royals are hoping that last year was an aberration in the career of Aroldis Chapman.
Left fielder, Richie Palacio.
Signed him to a one-year deal. The Yankees let him walk after the season. He pitched in just 43 games, but had a .446 earned run average, and then they left him off the postseason roster over a situation in which he failed to show up for the workout. That'll usually do it. But Kansas City told everybody, look, we did our due diligence. We investigated the situation. We feel like he's a guy that will fit into our clubhouse. And
well, he just lost it last year where he couldn't throw strikes, you know, and that was the thing. And he was taking a lot of time. This is one guy I was concerned about when you think about the pitch clock and him staying on the mound throwing, because, you know, you get into a rut. If you can't find the strike zone, sometimes you just try and rush it. It could be worse. But if he's on his game and he can throw strikes, you know, now he throws not just a fastball. He's got the breaking pitches and stuff like that. He could be a fine for him if he can stay in the strike zone.
he walked 28 batters in 36 innings a year ago.
I mean, you think of the years that he was out there and one of the top closers, if not the best, for many years. I'm sure his contract, incentive laden. I read where they signed him for what, 3.5 or 3.75, something like that. But I'm sure there's incentives in there if he pitches well.
Richie Palacios pops one in the shallow right, and Nick Eaton makes the catch, 1 down. Well, Chapman's going to compete with Scott Barlow for that closer role, but you just kind of have to feel it. The edge goes to Barlow, and that he's been here, he's the guy. He'll have to do something probably to cough that role up rather than see Chapman come in and take it. And yeah, as we know, during the season, roles can change.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you need more than one guy to close games out as you go through 162. But I will be curious how they use him, if they use him late in games.
Well, it all depends on how you start the season out. You know, this is a new season for him, new team.
Staff.
Well, as you said, Andre, earlier, you know, they traded away not only Michael Taylor, but Adalberto Mondesi, and they got all relievers in return. Steven Cruz, right. Evan Sisk, Josh Taylor. Those guys are all expected to fill roles in that bullpen, and then they went out and got Aroldis Chapman as well, because their bullpen a year ago was
tough. They had a tough time.
Yeah, I mean, the Royals starters had the highest earned run average in the American League, so they didn't give that bullpen a lot of help.
Well, it's like, what does Archie always tell us? Good bullpen usually got a great starting staff, right?
Yeah, it takes a lot of pressure off that staff, no question.
Now, Chapman wasn't on everyone's list as we see this strikeout. I sent you guys this story. Supposedly he fell at his house Saturday night, cracked a tooth and split his lip open, and had to have surgery. So it was pretty swollen yesterday, so they weren't sure if he was going to come pitch today, but he's over here pitching.
Was he with Tito?
Tito, by the way, is healthy. His teeth are taken care of. He's over managing the other split squad.
Yeah, he's out in Peoria.
But he's all right. I've gotten I'll ask him. Wasn't it out here, Matt, that their catcher, didn't Salvi miss the beginning of the season?
Yeah, the suitcase. No.
Yeah.
He blew out a knee carrying the suitcase down the stairs, I believe.
DeMarlo Hale is managing the ball club today, with Carl Willis at his right-hand side. Tito is with the split squad in Peoria. Mike Sarbaugh is with him, third base coach normally. I think
The
Chris
quick
Valeka
pitch.
is over there as well.
No, Vallecas?
No, that was
quick
a
pitch?
time. No, that was a time limit.
Oh, okay.
Pitch clock violation
Yeah, pitch clock violation.
on Chapman.
He tried to rush it, but he didn't do it.
Matty, we have Valleca over here with us.
Is he? Well, I didn't see him.
Yeah, he's down here. You guys' sunglasses. Now, is that, Matt, you've explained this well, and help me there. In that situation when we don't see it.
Now ball to the hole. Backhanded by Bobby Witt Jr. and the throw across. As Prado couldn't scoop it out, and Jose Ramirez will be safe at first base on an infield single.
But where you can't see that, we don't see the clock. And I'll ask if we go to the replay.
Nice play by Witt. He needed a little help on the backside to see if Prado could have picked it. If he does, Jose's out. But he couldn't do it, so it'll go as a base hit.
All right, go ahead now.
Yeah, okay, in that situation, we don't see anything, but that means the umpire was buzzed to
Yes.
tell him the clock is up, correct?
Yeah.
He's wearing a buzzer on the belt pack.
Right.
Think Batman with Adam West in the
And they can have it on
1960s.
their ankle, too, instead of they
Really?
don't like it back. Yeah, they could put one around
Okay.
their ankle as well.
Okay, I just wanted fans to understand that because I know we don't see the clock once it gets to, 8 seconds or whatever.
It goes
Once
dark.
they go into their
Yeah.
stretch.
Right, so that's when it goes dark. The umpire still, if the clock goes up, can be buzzed, and that's what we saw in that last at bat.
What I've noticed down here, at least so far, is the clock continues to stay visible until the pitcher starts.
He lifts that foot up off
his
the ground.
delivery.
Yes, that when he gets that foot off the ground, it's off. But he ran out of time. Take a look at it. It looked like a quick pitch to me. That's what I thought it was.
No, see, well, you know what? It's weird.
He lifted
it
the
looked
leg.
like there was still time on the clock, but he indicated violation of the pitch clock.
Well,
He did not.
It
indicate
went off.
quick
The
pitch.
buzzer went off on him.
Yeah, but he did lift that front leg, guys, with 1 second left. It looked like. From what
We're
we
going to
showed.
have to clarify it and make sure that if you
Right.
lift that front foot, then the clock, time is out.
Josh Bell strikes out. That will end the third with our score: Kansas City 3 and Cleveland 2.
The Kansas City.
You're going to see a lot of this wherever you go to watch a spring training game this year. So many new rules. The pitch
Right.
clock is a big part of them. And Matt Quatraro trying to just get clarification because we saw there was still time on the clock when Aroldis Chapman lifted his leg and began his delivery toward home plate. And yet the umpire signaled pitch clock violation. But I think you very correctly pointed out that should have been a violation of the balk rule because
I
he
agree.
never came set with a runner on base.
And they're going to be more stringent on that this year.
That's what we've been told.
Where if you don't come set, that's going to be a balk. Well, it looked like a quick pitch to me, and when we showed the replay, the clock, I mean, he lifted his foot before. I would have called a balk before I would have called a pitch clock violation.
Well, Touki Toussaint is back in the ballgame. This is something that is just in effect for spring training games. It's the re-entry rule. So Toussaint was taken out with the bases loaded and 1 out in the third inning. Jordan Jones came on, got a double play ground ball out. And now we thought Toussaint maybe just ran out of pitches, but evidently he's just back in there.
We're playing fantasy camp rules out here in spring training now. You can come on back.
That's out of play as Cam Gallagher gives a look, but it's in the seats. Yeah, it's really, again, the rules, the umpires are going through it just like the managers are going
Case
through
in
it.
point, the other day when, Karinchak was out on the mound and, he asked for a new ball. And they never
reset the clock.
Reset the clock. You can do that up until 9 seconds come into play and get a new baseball.
You've got to ask for the new baseball before the 8 seconds
9.
are up before the hitter.
Right. And you know what? They didn't do it. They kept the clock going, and that's how he got. But it was clarified at the end of the day that they didn't stop the clock, and you have that opportunity. But you're not going to be repeat offenders to that throughout the course of the year. You get up around 8 or 9 seconds. Oh, here it is. I need a new ball.
Fair ball down the line. And it will go all the way into the corner. Oscar Gonzalez digs it out. And Camargo will stop with it, or rather Olivares will stop with a 2-out double.
Boy, I'll tell you what, he let that ball track deep and get it back into the zone. Did a beautiful job to take it the other way. And right down the line into the corner. Automatic double. He was thinking triple, but with 2 outs, you're in scoring position, so he stayed put.
So just to clarify, the other day the umpire simply made a mistake. If you ask for a new baseball, as long as there's more than 8 seconds left on that pitch clock, yeah, you get a new baseball and we reset the clock. That should have happened. It did not. But we got clarification, and hey, as Carl Willis
new
said,
for them.
They're learning just as we are learning. It's something new.
And think about it, the game speeds up for those guys just like it does the players.
Josh Bell stays with it. The long flip. Toussaint kicks the bag, and the side is retired. Midway through the 4th, Kansas City 3, Cleveland 2.
At Papa Doc.
On April 7th, they'll take on the Seattle Mariners, and it seems like it's right around the corner. All fans in attendance will receive a 2023 magnet schedule and a car magnet presented by Progressive. You can visit CLEguardians.com/tickets.
Scott Barlow pitched in 69 games last year. 7 wins, a 2.18 ERA, closed out 24 of 28 opportunities for the Royals. And again, as I said, I would have to believe he's the leader in the clubhouse at this point to be Kansas City's closer come opening day. But if they can get Aroldis Chapman straightened out, that should help the back end of their bullpen nail down more leads.
No doubt.
Jose Briseño is the new catcher as he takes over for Salvador Perez behind the plate. Josh Naylor, a base hit through the right side of the infield in his only at bat. Naylor DHing here this afternoon. And a chopper on the right side. Duffy, the second baseman, with the flip to Barlow, 1 away.
Right fielder, Oscar Gonzalez.
You know, it's something that we had a chance to visit with Mike Sarbaugh, the Indians, the Guardians, infield instructor, and that is, without the shift this year, it's really incumbent that the guys on each side of the infield know where each other's playing. You know, before with the shift, you didn't have to worry so much about spacing as you do now. Now it's very important that you're covering the key spots.
Yeah.
So in this instance, if you're thinking Oscar Gonzalez is going to pull the ball, you want your left side pulled around a little bit more. You've got to try to take away that hole.
And that's basically how you play outfielders too. I mean, you know, you put your guys like that, but the third man out, if your center fielder moves, he's going to tell the left fielder, come on, I'm going over this way. He's got to go. You're going to give the line like pretty much where it's at right here. They're looking to play him almost like he's a left-handed pull hitter for Gonzalez. If you look at the outfield,
I was just about to say, the outfield.
Yeah, they look like it's a left-handed hitter up because they don't think he's going to pull, especially Barlow with the breaking stuff going away.
I love talking to Coach Sarbaugh though this morning about the hit up the middle that we laughed about, you know, last year.
Weak ground ball. Duffy flips it over, and Oscar Gonzalez is retired, 2 down.
We laughed last year how there were no hits up the middle, but if there are going to be hits up the middle.
Oh, yeah, I think you're going to see more hits up the middle than you will in the holes than everybody thinks.
Andre, 2 years ago, if this rule had been put into effect, it would have been a real detriment for Cleveland and for Ahmed Rosario. But his range has actually improved.
Yeah.
Maybe it's footwork. Maybe it's just, you know, better awareness in terms of what pitch is coming and how your pitchers deal. But he's better now at covering ground.
Both sides. And Arch, remember, I think his first season here, he struggled going to his left.
Glove side.
Glove side, yes.
Yeah, he did. He had trouble. But, you know, and now what they're working with him on is getting down on the ground and getting back to your, to your feet,
or throw it
to where you can throw it quickly.
Well, and he is a great athlete because and you would never say this, but his size kind of hurts him at that position a little bit at times.
The longer legs, but you watch the guy run, you would think he would never have a problem with footwork, but you know, that's not the case.
Joe Lampe with a smash, but Matt Duffy, he wasn't able to throw him out. He couldn't get it out of his glove quick enough and didn't realize how fast Joe Lampe is.
Look who's at the top of the steps yelling for him. Rosario Ramirez telling him right to run the bases.
Well, and that's all it takes is one little, hesitation, hiccup. He stumbled, he messed up his footwork, and out of the box, you go down the line, you never know what can happen. And you never want this to happen where you don't run down the line because you see he catches it and you slow down.
Lampe takes off. Throw down, and it's in time, and they didn't tag him, though.
He went to that outside of that bag.
Yes, he did. That big base there.
He went to the outside.
Look at Rosario and Ramirez now.
They're two favorite teammates now. They're all over him. They love it.
See, that's what we were talking about. As can that middle infielder cover that bag as much as you think? Look at the throw beats him. It's a perfect throw.
Wow.
He did.
Straw told me that, though. Miles Straw said with the bag's bigger, he goes, we can swim over the guy trying to.
That was a perfect throw. There's nothing you could do to make that throw any better. It was on the first base side of the bag, and Witt had the ball before he really slides. So, yeah, he got tricked. He got fooled.
You know, in the old days, you just put the glove down in front of the bag and you're good. But now the bag's a little bit bigger.
Yep.
You've got more to cover.
And it used to be in the old days, that's a routine. The ball beats you, you're out. They didn't have replay, so they didn't check.
The umpire was patient. He waited to look around.
Yes,
the
he did. Give him credit. That's what they have to do. They have to wait.
Rocchio, left field. And Olivares makes the catch. No runs, a hit, one left. We've played 4 in Goodyear. The Royals lead 3-2. 3-2 Kansas City as we go to the 5th inning, and we go downstairs to Andre Knott, who's standing by with a man who once held the same defensive position as the late great Hall of Famer Willie Stargell in Pittsburgh. Josh Bell.
Matt brought up, you played the position over in Pittsburgh that Willie Stargell played. What does that mean? Because I know you're big on Roberto Clemente, so what does it mean to know the history of the team that you came up with?
No, that's Pops. I mean, everybody knows that. They had a sick run in the 70s. I mean, you could say Dave Parker, Manny Sanguillen. We used to have some of those guys show up for spring training coming up. So Maz, we had some greats come out, watch our BP. We could pick their brains. Had a couple fun seasons with Pittsburgh.
Speaking of picking one's brain, I got to bring this up because I get to see things others don't. You hit a home run today. We'll get to that. But I love that you came over here in between innings and you went to Jose Ramirez and said, hey, what are you seeing from a pitcher? What does it mean to have a guy like that in the lineup that you can toss things off of?
No, yeah, especially in this division, seeing some guys that I haven't seen quite as often. I'm going to be in his ear all season long. Guys coming out of the bullpen, stuff like that. I think that obviously guys that I know, I'm going to know, but any things that I could put in my back pocket during an at-bat, I'm definitely going to use. I'm super pumped to be hitting behind him.
You know, we've asked the question about, where guys are going to play defensively now, and will you have that hole wide open? And Jose just threw you a ball, so get ready for it and scoop it like you always do. And I heard, I think it was Naylor who got the hit, and everybody started yelling shift. Is that what you guys are going to do for the?
Naylor and I are both going to hit 300 this year for the first time in our career, so we're definitely a lot of hits over there, especially with a runner at first base. You're only going to have one defender over there. The first baseman's got to hold the guy on, so it's going to be a lot of hits on the pull side.
Very easy for me to ask right now. It's not even March yet, but after being here for a couple of weeks, seeing where you're going to be in the lineup, knowing where your wife is from, could it have been a better place for you to sign than Cleveland?
I don't think so. I've said this a couple of times. Cleveland called, and my wife was like, I don't care what it was. I don't care what they offer. Just sign it. We'll figure out the rest later. So I try to keep her under wraps. I was like, stay off Twitter. Don't say anything. We got to negotiate for a little bit, but she's definitely pumped. I'm definitely pumped. Couldn't be happier.
Matt, I'm going to leave him alone because we were having a great conversation about shoes before you threw it down here. I think you're going to have a lot of fun.
All right.
Getting to know Josh Bell as we go forward.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Thank you to Andre. Thank you to Josh for spending some time with us. Back-to-back hits with one out here in inning number 5 by Kyle Isbell and Jose Briseño. So 2 aboard now for Eddie Pasquantino, who knocked in a pair in the 3rd to give Kansas City the lead in this game at 3-2. Well, you can see in just a few short minutes him talking with Andre why people think so highly of Josh Bell. I mean, he's just one of those guys that has an easygoing demeanor. He fits right in, and he's got the potential to be a real impactful bat in the middle of that order.
And they went out to get him to hit behind Ramirez, being the switch hitter. They needed to have some thump against left-handed pitching. He'll be in that number 4 hole. You know, he'll be playing maybe some first base, and he'll be DHing as well. So,
you know, Josh, when he had the big season with Pittsburgh back in 2019, he had 37 home runs. 33 of those homers came as a first baseman, which was one shy of the record for most home runs hit in a season by a first baseman in Pittsburgh Pirates history. Now ball on the right side. There's one. Back to first. It's in time. And ending double play. We'll have the answer to that trivia question right after this. Josh Bell in the first inning of this game just missed one, almost took out Sandy Alomar with a vicious line drive, and then, oh, he got a hanger. That's not coming back. Boom. Big 2-run homer with 2 out onto the roof. In right field, stake the Guardians to a 2-0 lead. So the answer to that trivia question is you take a look at Dylan Coleman, who will be the new Royals pitcher here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Josh Bell, 33 homers as a first baseman for the Pirates back in 2019. That was second most all-time in Pirates franchise history by a first baseman. You said Willie Stargell.
Yeah, everybody's going to say Willie Stargell.
Willie Stargell hit his big years as a home run hitter came when Roberto Clemente was still a Pirate, and so when he was a young player, he was a left fielder. I'd forgotten that.
I didn't forget it. I don't remember him.
Dick Stewart, who was known also as Dr. Strangeglove, had 34 home runs in 1961, which is the Pirates franchise record by homers for a first baseman.
Make a lot of money on that one.
Absolutely, you probably could. Bo Naylor getting his first at bat here this afternoon. Bo has a unique batting style, much different than his brother Josh. Kind of opens up that right, or that, that right leg. Everyone that has watched Bo Naylor here in camp, they do rave about his powerful throwing arm from behind home plate. Struck him out looking.
Left fielder, Richie Palacio.
Backdoor breaking ball. Seen a few of those today.
Well, Coleman's got a good one too. That's like, that almost looked like a little cutter, but that's what a true slider is. It came back and it got the outside corner.
And back to the top of the order, Richie Palacios walked and scored in the first, flied out his last time up.
Coleman has very good stuff when he gets that the velocity going. He's got a good slider.
I think he kind of hit on something earlier, Rick, and that is if Kansas City can get some more length from their starters as that ball finds its way into center field, and Richie Palacios has his first hit today, Guardians' 5th of the afternoon. If they can protect their bullpen, these guys in the bullpen may be better just because they won't be overused and overexposed.
Yeah, they tax their bullpen, and that's a long year when you got to use them early and often. You know, you truly do. I mean, good bullpens, if you watch at the end of the year, and not that they all have good stuff, but your starters eat up a lot more innings, and keep a lot of pressure off your bullpen where you're not used time and time and time again. Not to the point of a complete game, but it gives your manager an opportunity to rest some guys when he can out there.
If you're not consistently, and I mean almost nightly, getting 6 innings from your starters,
you're in trouble.
It's going to bite you.
Yeah. And, you know, and then there comes a time, and we see it, where, all right, the starters go out there and they give you 6 innings every time. And then you're starting to say, wait, are these guys rusting out? Or, you know, they're not getting enough work, you know, when you bring them in. So there's a fine line between getting enough work and too much work and over the course of the year. But, boy, you got to be a chemist to get it done right, you know, with that bullpen.
Brian Shaw would agree with you that you rust out before you wear out. But then there are other guys that we've seen that if you use them 4 times in a week, all of a sudden that stuff, it drops off dramatically.
Some guys can't pitch back-to-back days, you know, because their bodies might be a little frail, so you also got to work that into play.
Base hit left field. Ahmed Rosario just chopped it through the big hole. And Richie Palacios stops at second base, so the Guardians have something brewing with 1 out here in the 5th inning. And Jose Ramirez coming to the plate.
Oh, boy, there's one he left right there for Rosario to hit. Fastball up, and
timing's
got it
back.
through the hole. Oh,
Timing's back. You said
hey, when he gets one, he's going to get 2.
Yeah.
You know that. It doesn't take long.
The reason he told me that is Jose's up. He goes, I don't want to start slow. I want to see what I can do with a good start.
Jose, big swing and a miss, and that's a good first pitch breaking ball from Dylan Coleman.
I mean, Matty, do you remember the date? You've done it in back-to-back years.
It was sometime in late May.
Late May. Matt has done it back-to-back years.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's late May, right around Memorial Day.
Yeah. So he wants to do more like late April, is what he told me.
Well, yeah, you'd love to, but you know,
I know.
You wish you could do it, but it's not how you start; it's how you finish.
It's like Bieber told me last year. If he was throwing 96, he'd want to throw 98.
Right.
That was a vicious line drive foul.
Now this guy's the opposite. He has told us he's just off a touch. He said after that last one he told Bell, he goes, oh, I'm really close. He goes, I like how I feel.
Two-strike pitch in the dirt. Nice block by Briseño. And so many catchers, more and more than ever, you know, work out of that low crouch where you've got a leg on the ground. Guys, they've got to be even more agile than ever.
It's tough to, a lot of times it's easy to get that ball. You'll see wild pitches because their body can't move like
so
that.
Low.
Oh my goodness. That was right at the top of the dugout.
Tell you one thing, that shows you how quick he is inside.
Everybody okay down there?
We got an arm, but I think he's all right.
I'll tell you one thing. I would be under the netting if I was in that dugout.
That was scary, boys.
Look at, he saw it. Didn't
Better
hit
put a glove on.
You better get down.
Chased one down low, and Jose Ramirez strikes out.
First baseman.
Yeah, he executed this pitch beautifully. He's down. Nice slider, late break to it. It had plate, and then all of a sudden it disappears. Got Jose to chase after it. A good pitch.
Hey, I know it's a strikeout, but after watching Jose for 3 months last year have that hand barking, to me it was good.
Oh, he's got drilled.
Did I get him? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, from over here you can barely see on the side, but
Joe Naranjo will take first base.
Jose didn't wince after that. And when he had to take one hand off the bat last year in the second half, that was a painful thing for him to do.
Designated hitter, Josh Naylor.
Got it right on the thigh, and Naranjo is aboard with Josh Naylor at the plate. Bases loaded, 2 down here in the 5th. By the way, Andre, we know David Fry is a guy that the Guardians are looking at as somebody who could be potentially a third catcher, can also play other positions defensively. He's also a really intelligent guy because he's the only one in the dugout that crouched down behind
You
the
noticed
netting
that.
with Jose Ramirez at bat last night.
He's done a scouting report.
You
there.
noticed that. The catcher realized I better stay low.
You know what? I'm going to get down. I'm not going to.
Well, they all ran back up there. Tyler Freeman looked at me and smiled. And I go, put a glove on. What is
Yeah.
wrong with you?
What are the odds he'll do it again?
Well,
we've seen it.
They're good.
Yes,
Trust
very
me.
high.
They're really good.
Yes, they are.
If he throws that same pitch again, it's coming right back at you.
Josh Naylor 1 for 2 with a single.
How many times did go foul? Did we see that clip in Anaheim where the bench is down there, and then I forget the Texas Ranger that kept fouling him off and fouling him off.
Down there.
All those guys in the dugout. David Hulse,
Yeah.
ended up walking to the other end where the manager normally stands. It was hilarious.
Matt,
I'm telling you.
I think Matt sent that to me this offseason.
Yeah. It's a beautiful one.
Swing and a miss. Josh Naylor strikes out the Guardians, leave them loaded. We've played 5 in Goodyear, 3-2 Kansas City.
Hi, I'm Jeff from Nuts.com. When my grandfather started.
The Cleveland Guardians, designed for kids ages 5 to 14. Memberships are just $25. They include some cool Guardians gear. Visit CLEGuardians.com/kidsclub for all the information.
6th inning. Left-hander Tim Herron on the pitch for the Guardians. And a foul back off the bat of Matt Duffy. Tim Herron came in the other day and just had a wipeout inning. Nasty slider. He's somebody, Rick, that's already opened a lot of eyes in this camp.
Well, when you're left-handed, you've got a good fastball, a nice slider, a breaking ball. He can, yes, they see an arm like that, your eyes open wide.
Hit hard, and that's fair down the left field line. Ricochets out that sidewall. Duffy going to go for 2. Here's the throw. And it's a little bit offline. Had Escobedo's throw been on line, they might have had a shot to get Duffy at second base. It'll be a double for the Royals leadoff man.
Yeah, he didn't get that pitch inside enough, and Duffy turns on it and keeps it fair. And as it comes out into the outfield, he tried to get a little more on it. Not an easy play. He tried to rush a little bit, and that's why it was offline.
Nick Prado takes a strike. Julian Escobedo taking over in left field. David Fry is now at third. Milan Tolentino is at short. Prado swings through it, and it's 0-2. You get a look at the Guardians' current defensive alignment. Only Rocchio and Gonzalez remain in the game as original starters. 0-2 pitch swung on and missed. That right there is probably an at bat also that Carl Willis takes mental note of, because it's that left on left that gives you reason to maybe wonder about possibilities this year for Herron.
Absolutely. And you got a man on second base. There's nobody out to get that punch out when you need it. They love it when a pitcher you need a strikeout. Not that you needed one there, but he got it. Comes back and gets the other one. Now a chance to get out of the inning.
Yeah, chance here if he can retire the pitch hitter.
Michael Garcia.
Let's see, this will be Michael Garcia. Batting for Olivares, who walked, doubled, and scored a run today. deep left field, and it is not coming back. Michael Garcia extends the Kansas City lead to 5-2. A 2-out, 2-run home run to deep left field. That cleared the bullpen and it just onto the berm.
Well, another pitch. That was a breaking ball. Slowed it down coming inside, but he got the hands out front quick, and one swing gives him 2 runs. So a pinch hit home run for Garcia. Makes it a 5-2 ball game.
Darren Blanco is the batter for Kansas City. Ooh, hit the lip.
I've seen our ball boy down there be on the ground more than he is on his feet.
That's a ball man.
That's it, ball boy. BB. That's what they do now. Like in Giants, you know, you go see San Francisco games. Those are ball old men.
Yeah, thumbs up. You're okay. That's the bottom line. No spot on the DL. Struck him out looking to end the inning. Kansas City using the long ball here in the 6th inning to extend their lead.
The Royals trust the University of Kansas health system because they know we're
Flash tickets, or you can use the ballpark app. You can get your $15 district ticket presented by Miller Lite, or a $10 kids ticket, and you don't want to miss the fireworks, the bobblehead nights, and all the fun out at the ballpark.
All kind of changes for Kansas City. They have replaced everybody, and they have a new pitcher, Max Castillo. Castillo facing Oscar Gonzalez here in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Oscar rocks one into left field. Well, he's 1 for 3, and the Guardians get their leadoff man aboard, down 3 runs here in the 6th.
Brought the hands in here very well. He threw him an off-speed pitch. It was inside, and Gonzalez brought the hands in and hit a line drive. And that'll be his afternoon.
Jonathan Rodriguez will run for Gonzalez at first. Joe Lampe shoots one up the middle, and that's a base hit. Rodriguez on his way to 3rd. And Guardians at the corners with nobody out.
That's a changeup. It looked like away. Stayed on it enough to find a hole out there. So now they'll have runners at the corners.
And Brian Rocchio to the plate. He is 0 for 2 with a couple of fly ball outs to left field. Outside 2-0. 4 years ago, Brian Rocchio was 18 years old, playing in the New York Penn League. Spent the COVID year at the alternate training site. And then 2 years ago, split the year between Lake County and Akron, and he hit .293 in 44 games His first taste of Double-A baseball, and last year he made it all the way up to Triple-A. So Rocchio has been one of those guys that quickly risen through the organization. He's just 22 years old. And he draws a walk here to load the bases.
Catcher, Bo Naylor.
And now Bo Naylor. He'll bat with the bases loaded. What was that? What was the call here? A balk? What do we have? We've got nothing. No blood. Was it an inadvertent timeout call?
Wait. That's just a regular windup with the bases loaded. That's all. Little breaking ball.
Not sure.
And our umpire down the first base line was screaming out balk. That's why things stopped.
Ball gets away, coming down the line, and then stopping was Rodriguez. I'm sorry, Andre. What did he yell?
I'm sorry. Yeah, he yelled out balk. The umpire down here, I don't think he realized that he was going into windup.
I got you.
That's why that happened.
All right.
And
It's a do-over.
Yeah, it's spring training for everybody, but
Well,
our guys are up here saying,
I'm going
hey,
to start
man,
yelling out balk, too.
I'm going to start yelling, broke.
We've got enough to keep track of. We can't have false calls.
Yeah, no kidding.
Swing and a miss. Bo takes a big rip.
But, Matt, that plays off of what Tito, who's not here, but he has said so well. He's like, let's get all this stuff out of the way in February and March. Let's get to, all the different calls and things. It's better to do it here.
You know, Andre, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was thinking we had research information that said last year with the pitch clock instituted in the minor leagues at AAA, after a month, 90% of the players who did the survey felt like they were fine with it.
Wow.
But I wonder, as a two-strike pitch misses outside, did they have a spring training with it? Probably
really.
not, right?
No.
They don't have.
No, I wouldn't
they-
think so.
well,
Not for
remember-
the kids.
So it
No,
took
not
them a
them.
month
Yeah.
during the
Yeah.
regular season. Having this for a month of spring training has to go a long way toward
I would
getting these
agree.
guys comfortable once the season
Yeah,
begins.
I hope.
Oh, it will. I'll tell you
Oh,
what, it's
boy.
better than starting anything.
Autumn looking. One down.
Well, Will Benson, who's over with the Reds now, and he played a lot of games in AAA last year. He's been one of the guys they've thrown off of. Like, how close is this to what you guys played with last year? And he said after the first couple games, this is better than what they dealt with down in AAA last year. So we'll have to see.
Julian Escobedo. Swinging a miss for strike one. Escobedo taking over for Richie Palacios, who was 1 for 2 with a walk and a run scored today. And that's going to be into foul ground. Maybe playable. Duncan with a great effort, but he ran into that
My
sidewall
goodness,
very
boy.
hard.
Yeah,
we'll
he
check
did.
on him to see if he's okay.
I'll tell you what, he didn't give up anything.
No.
He thought he was going to catch that ball, and it looks like he's okay.
Fortunately,
nice.
it's padded down there. He lost his PitchCom device.
Watch where he hits his hip right there. As he's going full speed, and then boom, there was no room.
He got lucky, man.
Yeah.
That leg. Ooh.
And he fell right into the family over there enjoying a nice Tuesday afternoon baseball game. Great hustle, but boy, watch out. He seems to be fine.
Yeah, I don't think it was the PitchCom. I think it was his glasses that came flying off of his hat.
And we know the prices of those nowadays, Art. You got to get those, babies.
We checked them out today. Not for these guys, though. They don't have to pay for them.
That's why I'm waiting for that guy to show up.
We all
Escobedo
are.
takes up high.
One thing on the Will Benson thing about the clock, he said something that you guys brought up to that this morning when we were talking to Carl Willis. He said the biggest thing in AAA was every clock operator operated them differently.
Inconsistently.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
Upstairs, 2-2.
You know, I'm sure it's a learning process for everybody. And those guys, I don't know if they took them to school, obviously, because MLB hires them.
Well, Arch is going to be just like the guys that do the fields. You used to tell us how some guys would have the field a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have home cooking one way or the other.
I don't know, man. They can't let that happen that way. You cannot have a slow clock guy in one time, and another guy that's got an up-tempo one. You got to be consistent, especially at this level.
I totally agree when you're dealing with what you're dealing with right now.
The 2-2 fouled back. That last instance was a perfect explanation of what you were talking about. Runners are going, the ball's fouled. When do you start the clock again? Because you're waiting for everybody to kind of reset, retake their positions.
I think it all gets set from pretty much from where their pitcher is.
And wait for the runners to return.
I was going to say, Matt makes a great point, though. What if let's say the pitcher doesn't go far off the mound, and your left fielders, come down the left field line.
Your pitcher better be aware of
I
that, too. You got to make them aware. Watch your fielder to make sure he gets back there before you get on the mound and get ready. I mean, there's got to be some time to let the players get back in a position.
3-2 pitch, popped up foul and out of play. See, in this instance, pitcher's on the mound, but now you got to wait for the catcher. Now he's set.
Right.
Boom, clock starts.
Now, and then it just started when he gets back and he got into his crouch.
That's ball 4 and a run is in. It's 5-3.
That's not what he wanted to do there.
Good at bat for Julian Escobedo.
Yeah, he fouled off quite a few pitches to stay alive. They'll get their third run in, make it a 5-3 game, and still an opportunity to keep it going.
Brian Sweeney, former Guardians bullpen coach, now the pitching coach in Kansas City, out with Castillo to try to get him straightened out.
Look at him. He
Look at him
sprints back.
sprinting.
I'm telling you.
He's in shape. Sweeney's in shape, baby.
You saying Carl isn't?
Stop.
I think he's showing him up.
He's showing up Carl. He's right. He is showing up Carl.
No, he's not. You got to take your time back there.
He knew we were on TV, and he didn't want us to abuse him.
He didn't want us
talking
talk
off the field as quickly as possible.
Well, we're going to abuse him because he ran off the field. He's trying to make everybody look bad.
You don't want anybody back home in Yonkers watching today.
The bottom line is when you're a pitching coach, you go out there. If you settle them down, they'll say, boy, he really gave him some good words of wisdom. You give up a base hit, and they're saying, man, why'd he go out there? That's a good pitch.
He'll be walking next time if he gives up a hit.
Yeah. Got to be careful. You got to be consistent.
Tito is really good about guys, getting promoted and moving up and whatever else. He said, but with Sweeney, he goes, I wasn't ready for him to go yet. He goes, I'll be cheering for him, but not when we play him. He said he was really good at his job.
Yeah. Well, that's why he's the pitching coach now.
Milan Tolentino quickly in the hole 0-2 after a bases loaded walk. And Castillo misses up and away.
I love that you remember he's from Yonkers, Matt.
1-2 is fouled away. Tolentino last year started in low A, finished in high A. Out of play left side. Bottom of the 6th inning. Guardians were down 5-2. They've picked up a run with a bases loaded walk. Only one out, a chance to maybe regain the lead here. But Tolentino goes chasing up high, and there are 2 down.
Third baseman, David Fry.
Now Castillo with a chance to wriggle off the hook. But David Fry stands in his way. Fry with a line drive base hit left field. That'll score Lampe. Here comes Rocchio. We've got a tie ball game The go-ahead run into third. Escobedo stopping there. David Fry with a 2-out, 2-run double knocks the game at 5 here in inning number 6.
Boy, you talk about jumping on that first pitch. He was waiting for it. He got a breaking ball out over the plate, and, you know, he had enough to see. He's thrown a lot of pitches. Castillo has. He jumped on that first breaking ball, and that's what he does. He throws a lot of off-speed pitches, and his afternoon's going to be over. But a big 2-out hit here by Fry to tie the ball game up. Give him an opportunity now to take the lead.
David Fry came to the Guardians last March in the J.C. Mejia trade from Milwaukee. He's trying to make a mark and find his way onto the ball club here this spring. Timeout in Goodyear. Tied at 5.
Attacking to close out and attacking.
David Fry putting on a hitting display here early in camp. This was against Cincinnati. Straight away center field. Goodbye. That was a home run on opening day in Cactus League play. And then just moments ago, with 2 outs, ropes one down on left field line to tie the game at 5 with a 2-run double with 2 down here in the 6th inning.
Both those hits look like breaking balls to me. But he's done a nice job right here. That very clutch hit there with 2 outs.
Jacob Wallace is the new pitcher for Kansas City, and Joe Naranjo with his first at bat. I should say his second at bat with a swing and a miss. Jacob Wallace last year put up good numbers in the minor leagues. Just a bit high. Runners at second and third for the Guardians. And it gets away, and it goes into the Kansas City dugout on a swing and a miss. And the Guardians will take the lead 6-5.
Yeah, they will, and he's got to go back to third. Fry does. You get the base, and that's it. It was a dead ball going into the dugout. So he gets the strikeout, the wild pitch. But the 6th run will score on that wild pitch. And watch where that ball deflects off the catcher into the dugout. Dead ball. 1 base, and they retake the lead.
Pitch hitting number 8, Gabriel
A
Arias.
strikeout on a wild pitch. Gabriel Arias getting his first at bat of the day. He takes over for Josh Naylor at the DH spot. And Jacob Wallace, a fastball strike. Six-5 Guardians now in the lead after scoring 4 times here in the 6th inning. And we'll go to the 7th. Cleveland by 1.
Get 11% off everything now.
In the backdrop there.
And there's the charter going back tomorrow with Andre and Matt on it, and Murph. That'll be your plane you're heading back home on.
Yeah, the one with the missing parts.
That's of course, as long as it's direct.
Nick Michalacek coming on to pitch now for the Guardians here in the 7th inning. Michalacek at AAA last year. 5 wins, a 3.04 ERA, and 47 appearances. He's got the top of the order. Tucker Bradley leading off now for Kansas City, taking over for Bobby Witt. Pops him up on the infield. This will be Brian Rocchio, and that is out number 1.
Center fielder, Tyler Tolbert.
Jonathan Rodriguez stays in the game in right field. Tyler Tolbert. It's his first at bat of the day. And Michael Lachik overpowers him with a fastball for strike one. Took a little something off, but missed up high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Swing and a miss. And the count 1-2. One hopper to short. Oh. Nicely played by Tolentino, and a good strong throw to get the speedy Tolbert for out number 2.
I'm going to tell you, that's a big league play right there. He stayed with that ball beautifully. Look at him. He knew it was going to be a tough one hop. He kept the glove down and just pulled it up and got up and threw a seed there to just in time to get him at first base. What a great play.
Regardless of what happens the rest of the day, he'll go to bed feeling good about that one tonight.
Man, yes, indeed. What a time to do it, too. Late in the game, 1-run lead. Beautiful.
Jose Briseño, the Kansas City catcher who took over for Perez. Yanks one to third, and David Fry intercepts it to retire the side. Stretch time in Goodyear, 6-5 Cleveland. Six-5 Cleveland. Bottom of the 7th inning coming up. We've just finished the 7th inning stretch, and Andre Knott is standing by with Guardians pitching coach Carl Willis.
Thank you very much, Matt. Yes, we've passed the 7th inning stretch, kind of like the North Carolina Tar Heels as they're getting ready for March, right?
I hope so. I hope so.
They've been winning, I can say that. Don't worry, man. They've been better. It's been a little bit better. All right, what I really want to ask you about, you know, your guy Sweeney's on the other side. Did you see how he ran from the mound back over? And I don't know if you got that in you, man.
Well, I used to have it in me, but, you know, we almost had to call a first responder out for Brian out there because he almost pulled a hamstring.
You got to tell them when they leave. They can't be out there running. We think he was running like that because he didn't want us talking about it.
Well, probably not. But you know what? In all seriousness, I'm really excited for Brian. I think he's going to do a great job over there. Hopefully not too good. They're in our division, but great human being, and we're really happy for him.
So let's start off with Tristan, who pitched today, and you know, he gets to pitch against this Kansas City team. Do you like when you see Witt and some of their guys in the lineup for him?
You know, I think early in spring training, you know, both the hitters and the pitchers are trying to get their stuff and their swings synced up. And I don't like it later in camp, but I think early in camp, and listen, there are no secrets. I mean, they know what Tristan's got and what he's going to do, and we know how we want to attack, but we're not quite there to execute that game plan just yet. So early on, it's not a big issue.
Nice base hit, maybe. Noes catch in right fields. The ball was sinking.
Rodriguez has had a tough day, man. He got hit in the arm over here, and then he got a hit taken away from him. It's no fun being over here. What do you think of Heron, who came in, the big lefty? We've been able to see him a couple times. Looked like he's got decent velocity and decent slider.
He's got really good stuff. He's got a really good cutter to go along with those two pitches that you mentioned. And, you know, he tried a backdoor cutter and got a little bit too much of the plate there. Hitter put a good swing on it. But, yeah, we really like his stuff a lot. And, you know, it's just a matter of him just continuing to gain experience, gain confidence in that stuff. Sometimes I think some of these kids don't realize how good they are, how good they can be, and he's one of them.
As you guys build a bullpen, and last year it was fun to watch the bullpen that you had come together, and I know we can't sit here and think it's going to be exactly that way this year. It looks like you may have one spot open. Would a long type guy work for you, or would another like? Do you have something that you would want maybe to kind of add on to what you guys had in that bullpen?
You know, it's tough to say, Andre. I mean, I do think, you know, with Clase, with Stephan, you know, with Karinchak, Sam Hentges, you know, even Eli Morgan, you could say, who the first half of the season last year dominated the 8th inning for a good while. But I do think what we have to be aware of is the pitch clock and potentially you may need a couple of guys who are a little more versatile into multiple innings just to make sure you can keep your bullpen in order. But we'll evaluate and see how we feel like that's playing out.
Last thing that I'll ask you, you look at the starters, and I know Arch went through this earlier, but Bieber almost 200. Was that 200 innings last year? Tristan 191, I believe. 186, 187 for Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, you're going to be saved by... Oh, nope. Got to answer it. Can you get all three of those guys at 200? And what do you do to get Savali? Maybe Savali and Plesac close.
You know, I think we can. I think, you know, the first thing is, you know, they all go about it a little bit differently. You know, Cal's not a big strikeout guy, but Cal can log innings because, you know, he tends to get quick outs and get deep in games. You know, Bieber has done it before, and that's always a good thing, knowing that you've been there. He's done it a couple of times, I think. And you know, Tristan just made a really big jump last year, and that's a little bit concerning because it was quite a few more innings than he'd thrown in his career, but he's come in great shape. He's in a great spot. And, you know, our priority is to keep these guys healthy, and I think if we can do that, I think they have the stuff that we could do that with those three.
Carl, we appreciate the time. I'm sure we'll see you around soon. You guys are handling this really well without Tito here. I'll tell them that they don't even need him to come back over.
Well, I know they gave up 8 over the first 2 innings, so he's probably going to be a little hard on me tomorrow with the way that happened. But, you know, it does happen. And listen, you know what, and I apologize to the fans, but I always have to do it. I got to give a shout-out to my mom. I know you're watching, Mama. Love you.
That's the only reason he does this, Mama, because he knows he can do that part. Thank you, Carl.
All right.
North Carolina's finest, Carl Willis. And we thank him and Andre. Right now, the Guardians batting bottom of the 7th. They lead 6-5. Bo Naylor at the plate with 2 down and a runner at first. He's in the hole 1 and 2. And Richard Lovelady up and in with a fastball.
I would think that would, with them giving up 8 early, would give Carl the opportunity to get all over Tito, saying, I know you missed me.
What did you do? I gave you all you needed. Right. What did you do?
Word on the street is they've just tied it up over there. It's 8-8, I think, last time we just checked.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, they're going to be there a little longer than us.
Up the ladder he goes and strikes him out to end the innings. 7 in the books from Goodyear, Arizona. It's the Guardians 6 and the Royals 5. Is presented by authority of the Cleveland Guardians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Guardians. Josh Bell, a big home run early for the Guardians. Then they fell behind, only to rally back and regain the lead with 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th. 8th inning now here on a beautiful day in Goodyear, Arizona. And the new pitcher is Franco Aleman. Born in Cuba. Family came to the United States. He grew up in Tampa and eventually attended the University of Florida. Guardians made him a 10th round pick back in 2021. Weak ground ball to Tyler Freeman just into the game. And the second baseman throws out Freddie Fermin for out number 1.
Robbie Glendenny.
Franco Aleman's numbers last year.
A lot of strikeouts in the innings with a high ERA.
Here is Robbie Glendenning as he takes a breaking ball up high. Slow chopper hit towards third. Charging Fry can't come up with it. And an infield single for Glendenning.
Well, that's the play you have to try to make is barehanded. I don't think he would have had time to get the glove and get him at first base, but he didn't field it cleanly. We told you not only he plays the corners, third base and first base. He's also a catcher, but got to catch that one. Can do it. Base hit.
Logan Porter, it's his first at bat. Rick, when you look at the numbers for Aleman, they almost don't add up, right? You mentioned 75 strikeouts and only 55 innings of work. And he had a .292 average against and an earned run average of over 6.
And I just saw that last pitch he threw was 97. But again, when you're young, he was only an A ball. It's a matter of command, and it's a matter of throwing strikes. He's got some long legs on him.
7 wild pitches in those 55 innings. So yeah, he's working through some things.
Sure. You know, I'm sure throughout the course of the year have to tighten that delivery up and you know, repeat the delivery as most pitchers have to do. And when you're a taller guy like him, it may be a little more difficult to do.
But you're a scout. You see 97.
Yeah.
You feel like, hey, we can work with that.
Absolutely.
That's chopped foul. A little bit outside. 3-2 the count.
Keep going.
Robbie Glendening, the runner at first. Don't know much about him in terms of speed.
Well, it's not going to be much because he's only off about 3 feet.
Chop the third. It's in the hole and through, a base hit. So Logan Porter. And the Kansas City Royals with back-to-back singles now have something brewing in the 8th.
Yeah, he left the slider up, and it gave him some swinging room, and he found the hole between short and third. So they have something brewing right now. Clay Duggan, this is the man that ran into the railing down there, playing third base, going after a foul wall.
All the way to the backstop, and the runners move up.
There's your wild pitch.
Yeah.
Take the double play out of order. Just hung on to it a little too long. Nothing Naylor could do to get back to get it.
Clay Dungan driving one to left center field. Escobedo makes the catch. Tagging and coming home with the tying run is Robbie Glendening. And it's a 6-6 ball game. So Clay Dungan, the former Sycamore from Indiana State, ties the game with a sacrifice fly here in the 8th inning. Indiana State, of course, the alma mater of Larry Bird, the Basketball Hall of Famer. Michael Garcia. He had a 2-run home run back in the 6th inning. The 1-1. Fastball strike. This was in the 6th inning with 2 outs.
That's that cutter he was
left-hander
talking
Tim
about.
Herron delivering the pitch, and he got the hit out and drove it over the bullpen.
Yeah, that made it a 5-2 ball game.
Right at the first baseman Naranjo, and the inning is over. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Kansas City has come back to tie it now at 6. Inning. Kansas City goes back to their bullpen, and Evan Sisk will be the new pitcher. Left-hander. He came over from the Twins in the Michael Taylor trade, along with the reliever Steven Cruz. Evan Sisk, he has not been to the big leagues to this point in his career. He did make it up to AAA last year with the Minnesota organization, and in 31 games had an ERA of just .208. Left-hander, he kind of steps towards the first baseline and then slings it across his body. Last year, left-handed hitters were 9 for 106 against him. That's an .085 batting average.
You got to look at between that hole between first and second to pick up his baseball. He falls off to the mound and he comes a sidearm. A lot of deception right there to pick it up. You don't get a while for the left-handers. Right-handers will get an idea, and there's that slider. You're bailing and chasing.
He was not originally drafted by Minnesota. The Twins got him from St. Louis for Jay Happ. It was St. Louis that found him at the College of Charleston. But I'm just like every other reliever we've talked about today. It will come down to commanding the strike zone, being a guy they can count on. I mean, so far, at least last year, it really came together for him, because not only did he pitch well at AAA, but he earned the call-up because he was just flat-out dominating at AA. It was only 19 games, but in those 19 games at AA last year, he had an .095 ERA. Gave up 3 runs in 28 innings.
Well, as you climb that ladder, I mean, you may get guys to swing at it down in the minor leagues, but like you say, he's going to have to continue to pound the strike zone.
What's the old saying? The higher up the flagpole, the harder the wind blows. Got to be able to navigate those challenges. Boy, that was a good-looking pitch.
Yeah, it was.
But it's called ball 4, and the Guardians get their leadoff man aboard in a tie game.
All right, here you go. Look from the side. He's coming your way. And, you know, but it's less than 3/4 right there. A lot of arms and legs, and it's tough to pick up the baseball, I'm sure.
This is one of those instances where we need batter cam just to get a bird's eye view
right on his helmet.
of what that's got to look like.
You know what you do if you're a left-handed hitter? You grab your jersey, you put it in your mouth so it can't leak, you know, and you stay up there. Then you jam yourself if he comes inside.
And if it hits you, it hits you, right?
Well, that's easier said than done.
Milan Tolentino, his second at bat today, struck out in the 6th.
You know, it's almost like when you don't see many of these guys throw from this delivery, so you're probably better off sometimes just going up and taking a pitch to see where that arm slot comes from. So now you after that, you may know what to look for or in the general area. That's what happened. You used to get up and get submariners from the left side. You don't see guys throwing from this arm angle very often.
I was thinking back to, I think it was Oakland, Chad Bradford.
Oh, from
he would almost
his
scrape
knuckles.
his knuckles.
Yeah.
So, to your point, hitters would say you need a pitch or two to just pick up where's it coming out of, where's the slot.
Yeah, because you never see it down there.
Mm. Two balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out, 8th inning. Leadoff man aboard, and Tolentino spoils one foul.
That's what you do. You just try and foul it off. That was a tough pitch to hit. It may not have been a strike, but he didn't do much. And as a hitter, this is what you try to do. That good pitch there, foul it off. It was a ball, but you can't take it. You can't see it, but he's living for another pitch, man. It's a good job of fouling it off.
I also wonder, too, and again, this is spring training, right? And Evan Sisk has not pitched in a major league game. It might even be a little bit of a challenge first time around for Jose Navas, the home plate umpire. I mean, if you haven't seen this guy before and you're trying to pick up the movement and where's it coming from.
But you don't have to hit it.
That's true.
All you have to do is watch for it.
You got to call it.
Cover 17 inches. Or maybe 18 if you want.
Yeah, there's been some oohing and eyeing from that Kansas City dugout
all right,
already.
now we've done our third game from the spring down here, and to this point, I've seen small strike zones from what we've seen to this point.
Chopper up the middle. Could be 2, and it will be.
So he made his pitch. He got his double play. So forget about the walk.
Third baseman, David Fry.
He had to work for it, but he got it done. David Fry tied this game up back in the 6th inning with a 2-out, 2-run double.
See, the right-handers will get a much better look because they have to look over there, and that ball is going to be coming into them. That was a good pitch. Yeah, you don't see many. I mean, you used to see a few guys throw from that angle, but it's not an easy thing to do. And he could be effective. If he could throw that pitch in and out like he just did those last 2 pitches, this guy can be successful without a doubt.
Yeah, it makes it difficult. It leaves a lot for the hitter to have to cover.
Yeah,
if he's hitting both of those spots.
It's nice to have a lefty like that coming out of your bullpen.
Fry pops one to center. Tolbert settles under it, and the inning is over. We'll go to the 9th in Goodyear, tied at 6. Six in Goodyear. We go to the 9th inning, and Juan Zapata is the new Guardians pitcher. You see, last year at Lynchburg, Zapata was 3-6 with a 3.76 ERA, 10 starts, 13 relief appearances. And Zapata with the first pitch fastball strike into Dairon Blanco. Last day of February. March begins tomorrow, and we'll take a little bit of a break in terms of our TV coverage. We'll be back with you at the end of the month. March 24th and March 26th. Those games can be seen here on Valley Sports Great Lakes with myself, Rick Manning, Andre Knott bringing you the coverage, but we will have games televised from our TV partners in the Valley Sports Network family throughout the month. Check your local listings for when those games will be televised. 2-2 is outside, full count. Yeah, we believe on March the 10th, the Guardians will be seen on TV against the Milwaukee Brewers. That'll be your guy, Brock.
Yeah, Bill Schroeder. That's right. And then there is one at the very last game in spring from Arizona downtown. I know that because they're playing before we get ready to head to Seattle.
The Diamondbacks will televise one of those games?
Yes, they will.
At Chase Field.
Yep.
Leadoff man aboard. That's the go-ahead run now for the Royals as Tucker Bradley steps in. That's foul. Well, I think it'll be interesting to see what strides Kansas City make this year under, new leadership in the dugout with Matt Quatraro getting the opportunity to be a manager at 49 years old, new staff. I think a lot of it's going to come down to their starting rotation. If they can get some productivity from those guys. And remember, they brought Zach Greinke back for a 20th big league season.
Yeah, that was recently.
So that will help give them, a veteran that can hopefully stay healthy and lead the way. Outside, he missed. Tell you one thing, Andre. I don't know who this website is that ranked the handsomest managers in baseball, but I don't even know why somebody would do that.
Which makes me
Tito number 5, and dead last on the list was Matt Quatraro.
They did my boy wrong.
Like, come on.
Come on, Q. Q is a good-looking man. Why are they doing that to him?
But the one thing, I give him credit. Q said to me, he said, well, only one place to go but up from there.
But you know what? I'm glad you told that story as the runner goes. Oh. That's exactly why he's probably the perfect guy for the job that they're asking him to do in Kansas City. He's not going to fight you about it. He just goes, all right, we got to find a way to start making our way.
I hope somebody hires an uglier manager.
Yeah, right.
That's all you can tell them.
Arch, you know this well. Hey, the more wins you get, the better you look.
Oh, God, you look pretty, man, if you win it.
How do you think Tito got up so high?
Buck Showalter, I think, was number 1 overall. Man, all 4 back-to-back walks. Juan Zapata is not doing himself any favors. First 2 have reached for Kansas City here in the top of the 9th inning. The one thing we know about Q is he's a well-respected guy in baseball circles. Whatever you think when you look at him, whatever you think you know about him, the guys who know that are in the game respect him. That's why he's in that seat. That's how he got the job. It's not because he just showed up and they thought, well, let's take a flyer on this guy.
Yeah.
The Royals did their homework.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mr. Sherman, who was a part of the ownership group in Cleveland before going over to Kansas City, has a little bit of familiarity there. But, yeah, they have the guy. And, they'll be patient, I'm sure, to some degree.
Yeah, the thing that jumps out to me about Q is he left us and went over to Tampa and was their first base coach, I believe. The third base coach's first.
When he started.
And he went right to the bench coach the next year.
With Kevin
Cash. And he told me before the game, we talked for about 10 minutes before the game, and he said the thing that he thinks is helping him the most right now is that he learned how we did things here. He got to learn how they did things in Tampa. And he said, I'm not going to be Cashy, I'm not going to be Tito, but I've learned from these 2 organizations the things that successful organizations do, and that's what I have to implement here in KC.
Yeah, he'll make his own decisions. He can take a little from each organization and try and blend it in, but you also have to have the players.
Yeah.
Catch made by Rodriguez, tagging, heading to third is Blanco. The throw way offline, and Fry was smartly over there to grab it. Now you've got runners at second and third.
That's just a young player out there now trying to throw it all the way in the air. You don't do that. You at least, if he goes to third, it's no big deal. But you got to keep the double play in.
Right.
And then you take yourself right out of it. Now the pitcher can't pitch for a double play.
Got to bring the infield in. Jose Briseño, the batter, 1 for 2 today.
Q is a great man, and the last thing he said, I couldn't have learned from 2 better managers. If I can be around as long as they have, that means I've been successful, and I'll move up in that list.
Good for him. He'll be pretty by then.
Well, Andre, it definitely speaks about not only Terry Francona, but Chris Antonetti and the Indians the Guardians organization. When you've got people that are leaving and getting promoted and getting jobs, It's always hard to see him go.
Right.
But, boy,
Well,
that
they're
says
going
a
for a
lot.
reason.
Yeah. Everywhere we're going this year, we're going to see
Well,
somebody.
you got
in
the
field.
pitching coach over there, as you already said. You mentioned that.
Sweeney, Kevin
and what happened out in San Diego? You got a pitching coach.
Ruben.
That's happened. Ruben Niebla, who was
Kyle
with the
Hudson
organization.
is now the Boston Sox first base
right,
coach.
He was the outfield coach and the base running
Huddy,
coach.
hey, when we go to Boston, Huddy owes you and I dinner. He already told me.
No, tell him I just want a pair of the Oakleys. He can have dinner.
Well, you guys in the sunglasses, don't be afraid to spend a little of that money they pay you, you know.
Hey, man.
We don't make play-by-play money.
He's in center field, and the Royals break the tie with a 2-run single from Jose Briseño. Just shot it right back up the gut with the infield drawn in.
And that's the difference. If you hit your cutoff man, you have first and second. That ground ball right up the middle could have very easily been a double play, but it turns into 2 runs because the mistake was made. So Kansas City takes the lead and keeps the inning going.
8-6 Royals. And Freddie Fermin will be the batter.
And to continue with that, we'll see Tooley. He's with Seattle, so we'll see him first. See him twice in the first week of the season.
Yeah, 7 games in the first 10 days. You're right.
Just amazing how many different stops you can make on the major league schedule. You'll see someone that's been.
Well, that's why it's such a tight-knit fraternity.
Yeah.
You know, guys may leave and go somewhere, but you're still buddies. You're still friends. You still.
Wow. That one off the facing of the Royals dugout. Sent them scattering.
I'll tell you what, if you remember El Gato, Felix Fermin, who played with us, he could have never turned on a ball like that. You'd have to worry about the first base dugout.
Gato.
That missed outside. Rock foul. And a full count. Still only 1 out here in this ninth
Tell you
inning.
what, he's ready for that fastball. If you got an off-speed pitch that you could throw for a strike, you might want to try it.
I wonder if it helps Brian Sweeney. You're coming into a situation where you're the new pitching coach, but you're bringing with you new arms that the organization brought in through free agency, like Jordan Lyles, and obviously, you know, Zach Greinke comes back. You've got Brady Singer, who's kind of like the anchor. It's not just all the same guys that were there the year before.
Aldis Chapman
and looking at you saying, how are you going to fix this? How are you going to get us right? You're bringing some new blood in with you, and maybe that'll help Sweeney and company get things turned around. Meanwhile, DeMarlo Hale is going to have to go to the bullpen. This is not working out well for Juan Zapata here in the ninth inning. He has recorded just 1 out. The Royals have 2 on with 1 out and 2 runs in. They lead it 8-6. Today's game began with Tristan McKenzie on the bump. He went 2 innings, allowed 1 hit, walked 1, struck out 1, made 22 pitches in those 2 scoreless innings. So
and he was happy to get the blood flowing today.
Yeah,
you know,
good
back
first
again.
outing, good curveball.
Yeah, really good curveball. He could control that better than his fastball today. And then
Josh Bell, 2-out, 2-run tater on top of the roof in right field.
Gave him the early lead. That was nice. I'm sure he was happy to get 1 out of the way.
Yuri Hervasio's first pitch is driven to left field, and almost a heck of a catch by Escobedo, but he couldn't come up with it. And the Royals have loaded the bases.
Yeah, Yeah, couldn't come up with it. It looked like if he might have got the glove under, but I think it short hopped him. He just never stuck in the glove. See, it falls out. Couldn't pull it up. So they'll just score another and move the runners along. It stays loaded. Now an 8-6 game.
Logan Porter is the batter. And that's a foul ball. Almost got his third base coach. Vance Wilson, a holdover from the previous staff.
Yes, he did.
He did not go. Logan Porter, born right here in Phoenix, Arizona, just down the street. With the Valley Vista High School. That high school sits directly across the street from the Royal Spring Training Facility in Surprise.
Wow, how about that? Can you get any closer to home?
It's pretty amazing. He went to Oklahoma State. I'm sorry, Northwestern Oklahoma State. A little bit of a difference, I'm sure, between the two programs. Northwestern Oklahoma State to start, then transferred to Dixie State in Utah. Fly ball center field, deep, back, Lampy over his head off the wall. That's going to score at least a run as Briseño scores. Here comes Fermin. He'll score as well. Holding at third base is Glendening. It's a 2-run double for Logan Porter, and it's 10-6 Kansas City.
Well, he gave that ball a ride. It just kept carrying.
Third baseman, Clay Duncan.
He gives it a ride, a breaking ball out over the plate. He took it to straightaway center. He played it nicely off the wall. Definitely gets by him. 3 would have scored, but it didn't matter. 2 were in anyway on that hit.
Clay Duncan.
Matt, the story you told about Porter having their facility across the street from his high school reminded me of the #1 pick of the Detroit Lions this year, Hutchison. He has basically lived in a 20-mile radius between high school in Detroit, playing at the University of Michigan, and now being drafted by the Detroit Lions. Isn't that unbelievable?
That is crazy. Clay Duncan strikes out. Larry Bird has just buried his face in his hands. And there are 2 down here in the 9th. Kansas City's batted around. This will be the 9th man to hit. Maikel Garcia. Yeah, Andre, how many times do you think over the years you've heard that refrain? Well, he needs to get away from home. He's got to go out. He's got to, get away from his boys, get away from his... Hutchins has never left the shadow of his parents' house.
Right. He's never left. And look, the Lions had their best season ever in like 20 years last year.
Good for him. There's a base hit left field. 2 more will score. Kansas City blowing it open here in the 9th inning. They have put a half dozen on the board. Four runs charged to Zapata, and now 2 runs charged to Hervasio.
Yeah, they've had some good swings. What do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4 hits in the inning, 3 walks, and 6 runs have scored.
Been a rough day for Juan Zapata and Yuri Hervasio, who came on here in the 9th inning. And this was a 6-6 ball game. And a high pop. Shallow right, out goes Freeman, but it'll be Rodriguez who puts it away. And we'll go to the bottom of the 9th. Guardians down 6.
When it comes to insurance.
(12-6) Kansas City. And now we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Steven Cruz. Ooh, fouled right back off the home plate umpire. And Jose Navas says, I'm all right. Joe Naranjo is the batter for the Guardians, and Briseño looked like he never saw that. Maybe he was crossed up.
Yeah, I don't know. It did look weird, or like he didn't see it. Maybe he's adjusting. Something might have gotten his way.
You know what? He might be
PitchCom?
Yeah, the earpiece.
Right. It looked like there was something a little loose.
So that way, when he presses the button, he can hear
what's
the same thing the pitchers hear, just in case there's any miscommunication. It's like, well, that's not what I meant to push. Well, at least he knows what's coming. You know what I'm saying? Whereas before, if you're not hearing that, you push the button.
It's a guessing game.
Let's just say, for example, you think you pushed 1 for fastball, but you actually pushed 2. If you don't hear it, you're thinking it's a curveball coming, and if it's a fastball, whoa, it can get on you in a hurry.
You're tricking yourself.
Yeah.
You're the one doing the calling. You better know.
Gabriel Arias, second at bat.
Well, what do you guys think of the pitchers being able in some camps to be able to call their own pitches?
I like it.
I do too.
I mean, I think that will help them go. Then, you know, some guys may not want it. So, you know, some guys may not like it. Other guys that know what they're doing and what's going on, I think it'll work fine.
Honestly, I'd like to see exactly how it works. I just think the pitcher's got so many. He's got the ball in his hand, and what's he supposed to use to push the buttons?
Well, they're putting it. Yeah,
they put the ball in the glove, then push the button, then grab the ball.
Well, he could push it while the catcher's just getting ready before they even throw a pitch.
Or when the catcher's throwing the ball back to him.
He could get down there, or he may want to know what he's throwing right now before everything gets into play.
I don't want to be the guy that complains about new things, and I'm not going to do that. But man, in the last 12 months, MLB has thrown a lot of new things at these pitchers, catchers, and players.
For a sport that moved at a glacial pace for the better part of 100 years, it is amazing how many changes we've seen in recent memory.
Yeah, but the changes were done because the game was getting out of control the other way.
Yeah.
Where it was taking too long. You said from 50 to 80, it was 2.5-hour games.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're seeing here with this pitch count.
Ooh. Wow, nice play at first base. Nice play on both ends. Really.
Yeah, it was a nice pick. Beautiful play.
Garcia with a great bare hand grab, and then the first baseman Porter with a dynamite pick.
It was well done on both ends. This looked like it took a bad hop.
Oh, it hit the lip.
Yeah, it hit the lip of the grass and took, and he barehanded it and still threw him out. Very nice.
Right fielder, Jonathan Rodriguez.
And with 2 down, it'll be Jonathan Rodriguez. To think, Rick, what started with we're going to allow home runs to be replayed, reviewed. It started with just that simple replay. We're going to home runs.
Yeah.
To where we're at now. Chopper to short. Backing up. Long throw from the outfield. Grass on the money, and that'll do it. Kansas City wins it going away with 6 in the 9th to win it by a half dozen. 12-6 is the final score. The Royals are now 4-1 on the spring, and Cleveland is 1-3. Well, this was a ball game, you know, from the Guardian side. Good to see Tristan McKenzie get 2 strong innings, only 22 pitches made in
Bell
2
hits a
scoreless
homer.
innings. Josh Bell gets a big home run early.
Yeah, this was one of those weird games where the pitchers, they didn't command the baseball. The younger kids, the game got out of control. It was 6-6 going in the 9th. You don't worry about that. That stuff happens. But one of these games, Kansas City, they've been playing well this spring. We got to see them again. Hey, it's good baseball.
Yeah.
Let's go. Time to move on.
I think if you're Kansas City, you're happy to see Bobby Witt Jr. get an RBI hit early, and Vinny Pasquantino gave him the lead early with a 2-out, 2-run single, and then they piled on late against the Guardians' extra men in the bullpen, and they win it. 12-6 is the final score. So that's going to do it for our coverage here this afternoon from Goodyear, Arizona. For Rick Manning and Andre Knott, I'm Matt Underwood. Thanks so much for tuning in. And we'll be back later in March as we continue the way to opening day. Our next telecast will be seen courtesy of the guys in Milwaukee when the Guardians take on the Brewers March 10th. Have a great night.
Guys,